The hidden truth about married women. Most people don't wake up one day and decide to ruin their lives. Betrayal doesn't happen in a single reckless moment. It happens in the smallest, most unnoticeable steps. A harmless conversation, a lingering glance, a rush of excitement over a message that isn't from her husband. There's a brutal, unspoken truth about married women that most men completely miss. And that truth is exactly what makes them the easiest prey. Not because they're weak, not because they lack morals, but because human nature is wired for temptation. Psychologists call it the slow erosion of boundaries, a process so subtle that by the time she realizes she's crossed the line, it's already too late. So why are married women the most vulnerable? And more importantly, how do they justify it to themselves? Let's expose the truth. But be warned, once you see it, you can't unsee it. The unspoken void. Why some married women seek external attention. Marriage is supposed to be a partnership, a bond built on love, trust, and unshakable commitment. But what happens when that bond starts to erode, not from betrayal, but from something even more dangerous? Indifference. No woman walks into a marriage expecting to feel invisible. In the beginning, she's seen, desired, and cherished. Late-night conversations feel electric. Every touch carries meaning. Every glance is filled with unspoken words. But over time, something shifts. The passion gives way to routine. Deep, soul-stirring conversations turn into dull exchanges about bills, schedules, and groceries, and then it happens. The silent transformation. She no longer feels like a woman, she feels like a role. The wife, the mother, the caretaker, the one who keeps everything together. But who is keeping her together? This is the unspoken void, the emptiness that no one talks about. Most people assume that married women who seek attention outside their marriage are looking for physical intimacy. Wrong. What they crave is something far more powerful, emotional validation, the intoxicating feeling of being truly seen, truly heard, and truly wanted. And when that validation comes, whether from a stranger, a coworker, or an old friend, it feels like oxygen after years of suffocation. A simple compliment, a conversation that makes her feel interesting again, a moment of undivided attention. Suddenly, it's not just harmless. It's addictive. Psychologists call this the Coolidge effect, the idea that novelty triggers desire. It's why even a happily married woman can feel an electrifying pull toward something, or someone new. Not because she doesn't love her husband, but because she misses the thrill of feeling chosen. And that's where the danger begins. Because the moment she realizes she's been starving for something she didn't even know she lost, she won't be able to ignore it anymore. And when that moment comes, something even more dangerous starts to take hold. Justification. What happens next is where the real game begins. The justification game. How women rationalize their actions. No one wakes up one morning and decides, today I'm going to betray my marriage. That's not how it happens. It begins in the mind, long before any lines are actually crossed. By the time a woman acts on her desires, her mind has already played a dangerous game of rationalization. A game where she bends reality, blurs moral lines, and convinces herself that what she's doing isn't really wrong. Because guilt is unbearable. And if she can justify her actions, then she doesn't have to feel guilty at all. This is the justification game, where emotion wins and logic is rewritten to fit the narrative she needs to believe. At first, it's harmless. It's just a little attention. What's the harm? Then, it's innocent curiosity. I'm just talking to him. There's nothing wrong with that. Then, it's emotional detachment. It's not like I'm cheating, I just enjoy the moment. But with each excuse, the slope gets steeper. The lines that once felt clear become blurry, and the woman who once swore she'd never cross them suddenly finds herself standing on the edge. How women rationalize their actions. It's just harmless fun. A text here, a compliment there. It doesn't mean anything. She convinces herself that as long as no physical lines are crossed, she's still loyal. But emotional intimacy is the first betrayal, and she's already started building a connection that doesn't belong to her husband. If my husband paid more attention to me, I wouldn't need this. Here, blame shifts. She no longer sees herself as responsible for her actions. She's just reacting to what she's been deprived of. It's not her fault. She's the victim. If only he had noticed her, if only he had made her feel wanted, she wouldn't be here. This has nothing to do with my marriage. Compartmentalization is one of the strongest defense mechanisms. She convinces herself that the excitement she's found exists in a completely separate world from her real life. This isn't about my husband. This is just something for me. But the truth is, the moment she starts keeping secrets, she's already changed the marriage, whether she admits it or not. I deserve this. This is the most dangerous justification of all. The moment she starts believing that she deserves this attention, this excitement, this connection, she's already lost. Years of sacrifice, of feeling unnoticed, of putting others before herself. Why shouldn't she have this one thing that makes her feel alive again? And once she reaches this stage, there's no turning back. Because now, it's not just a mistake, it's a right. And the deeper she falls into her justifications, the harder it becomes to walk away. What started as an innocent conversation has turned into something intoxicating, something she can't imagine giving up. And at some point, she stops seeing her husband as her partner. He becomes the other man in her own marriage. The breaking point. At first, it was just a thought. Then it became a secret. Now it's an addiction. She tells herself, I can stop whenever I want. But can she? Because now every stolen moment, every hidden conversation, every thrill of attention isn't just something she enjoys, it's something she needs. And before she knows it, she's standing at the edge of the point of no return. What happens when she takes that final step? The breaking point, when justifications turn into actions. It starts as a whisper, a fleeting thought. This isn't wrong. Then a conversation, a text, a glance held for just a second too long. Before she realizes it, the justifications that once lived only in her mind have begun to shape her reality. What was once an innocent escape has now become something more, something real. This is the breaking point, the moment where thought turns into action, where excuses turn into choices. And the most dangerous part, she doesn't even realize she's already crossed the line. At first she hesitated. She felt the guilt, the conflict, the tension between who she was and who she was becoming. But just like anything repeated enough times, it started to feel normal. The late-night messages, the subtle touches, the moments she swore meant nothing, they become routine. The mind adapts, the heart follows. And then, something shifts. The final shift, when a woman mentally leaves her marriage. There comes a moment in this dangerous game when a woman no longer sees her marriage the same way. It's no longer the foundation of her life. It's the thing holding her back. Her husband isn't the man she comes home to anymore. He's the man who interrupts her thoughts of someone else. Every conversation feels forced. Every touch feels distant. She's there, but she's not really there. Because the emotional connection that once belonged to him now belongs to another. And when that happens, when a woman mentally leaves her marriage, it's almost impossible to pull her back. The life she built, the vows she made, the years she invested, they start to feel like a cage. And the thing that once felt forbidden, now it feels like freedom. The unspoken truth about married women. Most women don't set out to betray their marriage. But slowly, step by step, they rewrite their reality. And once she's convinced herself that what she's found is something she'll never get back at home, there are only two ways this story ends. 1, she gets caught. The lies unravel, the truth surfaces, and she's forced to face the destruction she never thought she'd cause. 2, she leaves, convinced that the spark, the thrill, the feeling she chased is worth walking away from everything she built. Either way, nothing will ever be the same again. And the question remains, when a woman reaches the breaking point, is there ever really a way back? The final shift, when a woman mentally leaves her marriage. It doesn't happen overnight. At first she tries. She convinces herself that nothing has changed, that everything is fine. She still goes through the motions, still says I love you, still plays her role as a wife. But something is different. Something is missing. Over time, her husband stops feeling like her primary relationship. The deep conversations? Gone. The late-night laughter? A distant memory. The thrill of being seen? It now belongs to someone else. What started as a secret indulgence, just a text, just a conversation, just a moment of feeling desired, has turned into something she can't live without. And once she realizes that the emotional connection she craves exists outside her marriage, everything shifts. The unspoken truth about married women. At this point, she doesn't feel like she's betraying anything. She feels like she's reclaiming something. She tells herself, I deserve this. I've sacrificed for so long, why shouldn't I feel alive again? This isn't about my marriage. This is about me. And as these thoughts take root, her husband becomes the afterthought. Her marriage becomes the thing in the way. She's physically present, but emotionally she's gone. And when a woman mentally leaves her marriage, there is rarely a way back. Conclusion: the power of awareness. This is the unspoken truth about married women. Not all betrayals begin with intent, but they always begin with a void. From the moment a woman starts seeking validation outside her marriage, a shift begins. First, it's subtle, just a conversation, just a moment of feeling seen. Then comes the justification, the slow erosion of boundaries, until finally the breaking point arrives, and what was once a thought becomes an action. By the time she reaches the final shift, her marriage is no longer her priority. Her husband is no longer the man she looks to for love, passion, or connection. And from there, only two paths remain: exposure or escape. But here's the deeper truth. This doesn't happen in isolation. It's not just about one woman's choices. It's about the silent fractures that exist in many marriages. The three truths you must understand. 1. Desire doesn't die. It just finds a new home. Routine suffocates passion. A woman who once burned with love and excitement doesn't lose that fire. It simply shifts toward someone who rekindles it. 2. Justification is the most dangerous trap. It's not the actions that break a marriage first, it's the excuses. Once someone convinces themselves they deserve what they're doing, morality fades into the background. 3. Awareness is the only real power. Most men never see the signs until it's too late. They dismiss the distance, ignore the changes, and assume their marriage is fine, until they wake up one day and realize they've already lost. The call to action: pay attention before it's too late. If you take away one thing from this, let it be this: ignorance is not an excuse. The signs are always there. The distance, the excuses, the change in energy, it all means something. Pay attention. Don't assume loyalty is permanent. And most importantly, never stop being the man she desires. Because once a woman mentally leaves, bringing her back is nearly impossible. Thank you for watching. If this opened your eyes, like, comment, and share your thoughts below. And if you want more hard truths like this, subscribe to the channel. This is Stoic Guide. Until next time, stay sharp.